Hello guys, this is JP Ocampo, and I'll be teaching you a little bit about chord theory. So this one is primarily directed at the band part of Elevate Exalt. It is my hope that with you guys watching this video, you'll get a little bit more of an understanding with what chords are. So chords. So basically chords are simply three notes stacked. Well, three or more notes that are stacked on top of each other. So think of it as this is a note, and then we're gonna stack another note one, and we're gonna stack another one. And basically, this is what we now call harmony. If there were only two notes, it would still technically create a chord, although that's not considered a full chord. If these two were moving independently of each other, this will now be called counterpoint, which is a whole different area of music. If you want to get into it, you can just search online on how to do counterpoint. But our goal right now is to simply do music theory, specifically chord theory. So basically, the fundamental idea when you say chord is simply that it is a triad. Triads are what you see here: three things, three notes that are stacked upon each other. Now, how do we do this in such a way that it sounds good? So in sounding good, we do not we what we tend to do is we create a pattern. So remember, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. We have 7 notes in the scale. Technically, we have 8, but the 8 is the same thing as 1. So we tend to disregard this. Okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take the first one. We're gonna skip the second one. We're gonna go to the third, skip the fourth one, go to the fifth. So basically now this becomes your 1, your 3, and then your 5. So these things have different functions, basically. It functions as a different thing to create the sound that we're looking for. Now let's talk about the triad. So what we did was we skipped a note here, we skipped a note here. Simple enough. So how do we put this into use? Now remember, we have to scale. Remember the scales, we have the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7. The 8 is the same thing as 1. And then we have the C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Each of these things have a corresponding number value into it. And this one is in the key of C. Everyone knows this: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So like we said, we're going to apply this one here. We're going to take the 1, we're going to take the 3, we're going to take the 5. In order to create C, E, G. And this now fundamentally becomes your basic triad. So, the idea here is to have these notes play together. Now, because of a specific thing called fundamentals, fundamentals are basically things that allow harmony music to sound good. If you want to search on it, fundamentals or fundamentals, they all go back to what we call the harmonics. So if you want to search on that, there's a very cool video about it. But we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus first on this one, and this one. So you have the C note, the E note, and then you have the G note. So if you play them together, it sounds like that one. So basically you have your chords. And it is from the C, E, G, the principle of just stacking specific notes, or specifically the number of the notes together, that we will create the more complicated chords. But for now, let's focus on the basic ones. You have 3 basic chords right now. You have the major, the minor, and the suspended. So these are the first ones that we usually come by. Specifically in the music team in Elevate. Now let's talk about major. So major simply is 1, 3, 5. So what does this mean? We have the C, then you skip 1, so you don't play the D. You have the E, don't play the F, you play the G. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is in getting these things that you get your major chord. So how do we make a major chord into a minor chord? It's very simple. You take the 1, the 3, and the 5 that we have, the basic triad, and then you flat this one. This is why it's called minor. Because the space now between 1 and 3 is around this one here. And minor, what if you flat this one, the space now becomes shorter than this. That's why it's called minor. It's major because this is big one, minor because it becomes smaller. So what happens now with this one? Let me just undo what I did. So you have the 1, the flat 3, and the 5. So basically you're going to take the C, which is the 1 in the scale, your E, which is the 3, and then the 5, place it there, and you're going to flat this one. So you have an E flat. So it has a C. You take the 2, you take the 3, and then you flat it. And then the third one, you get the G, and it sounds like this. Sounds very minor, sounds very sad. And that's the purpose of it. Now, for the suspended, it's the same thing. Now, a lot of people will teach it in a different way. I prefer you guys to think about it the way I'm going to think about it, which is this one. You take the 1, you take the 3, you take the 5, and then you're going to sharp this one. You're not going to raise it up to a 4, you're going to sharp it. So why does that matter? Well, let's just go back a little bit to the a little more specific music theory. You have your whole, half, whole, half. So this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do a C, and it tells us to go up a whole. So we're gonna do D. Next one, E. Next one, we're gonna go half. So we're gonna do F. So this tells us between E and F, this is a half note, half step. Sorry. And next we have this one, whole G, A, B, and then it tells us now, because of this one, that B and a C is also a half step. Remember this one. Between an E and an F is a half step. Between a B and a C is a half step. So what does this tell us? Remember, let me go back here. This tells us that if we're gonna put numbers now, we're gonna put 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. What does this tell us? It tells us between 3 and the 4 is a half step. Between 7 and an 8 is a half step. Make sense? Just delete that there. So between 3 and a 4, between 3 and a 4 is a half step. Between 7 and an 8 is a half step. These have half step relationships. So where do we see the 3 and the 4? We see it back here. So what does this mean? If we raise, this is what the sharp is, if we raise that note up by a half step, so C, E, G, if we raise this up by a half step, we put a sharp here, it becomes now a C, F, G. So the reason why I want you to think about it in half steps rather than, just move it to the right or just move it up the fret, is we always have to remember that when we suspend, the third goes up by a half step. The third here in the minor goes down by a half step. And the major here is basically what you have, 1, 3, and 5. So what does this mean now? So technically, it's not really that we're saying C, E sharp, G, although this is really possible. What we're technically saying is it's C, F, and G. It's gonna get complicated later, sooner or later, because next, if we add the scales that are really, really hard, like F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, all of those scales, it's not gonna be possible to keep track of it unless you really know your scales. So it's either you really know your scales and specifically where the suspension comes from, or you just do this treat, this hack, wherein you know that specifically the 3 will be sharp. So if we're gonna look at all the music theory nerds here, we're gonna go here. This is a C. This is a G, E and a G. What happens here is this is near major chord. To make it a minor chord, oops. To make it a minor chord, we're gonna take this one, the E and the G. We're gonna flat this one. To make it a suspended chord, we're gonna take this one. We're gonna take this one. So it's now gonna be a C, an F, and a G. But specifically, if we're gonna talk about this method of looking at it, the suspension, we're basically getting, we're basically getting C, E, and G. We're sharpening it in order to click it. So here's something to think about. You have your C major, which is 1, 3, and 5. You have your C minor, which is 1, 3, 5, with a flatted third. And you have your C suspended, 1, sharp, 3, and then 5. So what I want you to do is this one. I need you to find out what notes these are. So you're gonna tell me what are the notes of C major. I'm gonna give it to you already. Okay, this is C, this is E, and G. So now you're gonna have to really figure out what these will be. Of course, if you go back, you'll see the answers. But now as well, for our band, I need you to find out what are C major, minor, and sus. So you already know this one. I need you to find out what is F, what is G, what is D, what is A. Yun lang muna. So you need to find out what is C minor, major, and sus of C. What is F major, minor, what's F suspended, and all of these. So for F, G, D, and A. So for this one assignment specifically, I need you to give me the names, give me the letters via messenger. So just via messenger, just PM me your answers, and I will tell you if you're correct or not. Okay, I want you to pay specific attention to F because this is where some people start to begin to have problems. Okay, see you soon, and thank you for watching this one.